What's going on YouTube? So in this episode today we're going to be discussing how to get ready for the military. So just a little bit of context on me. I spent 3 years in the Army National Guard in the state of West Virginia, 5 years as a logistics officer at Fort Bliss, Texas in El Paso, being one of the most high-paced units in the Army, 1st Armored Division. So without further ado, let's go train first. Alright, so this leads me to my first point about physical fitness. And it's going to look a little bit different for all branches of the military. I'm a little bit biased in this video towards the Army because that's what I was in, but this applies. From my perspective, going into the military, being in there, a lot of people kind of have this common misconception that you need to be this huge buff super soldier, and to be quite honest, that is quite the opposite. The military wants you to be a little bit well-rounded to a certain degree, but nothing to like Olympic level or anything, because I know that I like to work out as a hobby, but I like to speak to the general population in this video and anybody join the military. It's not that bad of standards to uphold. And you're going to hear this phrase a lot, is that the military gives you the answers to the test. So every branch has their form of physical fitness test that you can train up to. So let's go take a look at the Army's real quick. Alright guys, so for the Army, we have what's called the ACFT, the Army Combat Fitness Test, and the standards are here on the screen. We're not going to loom too much on it. As you can see, we have a hex bar deadlift, a ball throw, sprint track, carry, hand release push-ups, plank, and a 2-mile run. So as you can see, there's a little bit of functionality throughout this whole test. So from my perspective, and everybody's perspective is different going into the military. There's people that would love to get after it in the gym but not run to do any sort of conditioning. If you're trying to get into the military, I promise you, throw a little bit of running in there. It goes a long way. Push-ups, sit-ups, pull-ups, and as you get to your initial training, whether it be basic training, OCS, WOCS, whatever it is, you're going to learn the standards of these tests. You can actually train for it right now if you want to in the gym with some basic weight training and all that other stuff. But the cool thing is that you know the standards, you know what to expect, and as you do this test more times over and over again, you're going to get progressively better and better as long as you work hard at it. But I guess the big takeaway about physical fitness is work to be well-rounded. Not like Olympic athlete, but make sure you're getting your cardio, weight training, body weight training in there, and you should be okay. Nothing strenuous. One thing I will say about this test in particular, my Army folks, it's not that hard to get the bare minimum, which you shouldn't aim for, but I'm just letting you know. It's pretty hard to max, but it's okay. I'll make a video about that sometime later. Okay, so just a little bit of context also, post-military, I became a full-stack web developer. Also, I'm going to be pursuing my MBA at Rice here in Houston. I'll get more into that later. On my way to the Ion, it's a huge business and startup culture where I'm going to go network and learn. They have a huge event every single Friday. And that actually leads directly into my next point for the military. But first, let's roll. So we're at Phoenicia in downtown Houston, Texas. I'm still getting the lay of the land right here, but the reason why I kind of went through that sequence is kind of reinforce something that a lot of people just in general, I use the word people skills, kind of need to get better at, but especially if you're in the military, and that's the concept of teamwork and being what's called an extrovert. And that just means working with people despite any walk of life, different skill set, different communication styles, because it's going to make your life easier in the military. You can put out a lot of fires before your boss finds out, because normally somebody else has the skill, the resource, the talent that you need to kind of get your job done, and vice versa. And you'll learn about things like the military bartering system, and all sorts of little nuances, no matter what branch. But either you're going through basic training, any sort of military school, working as a team and knowing how to network and just relate to people of different walks of life is going to help you a lot. So that's the next point that I kind of want to bring up. And yeah, so I'm going to go eat some food and then we'll get to the next point. Alright guys, so it's starting to get a little bit gloomy outside, so you know your boy had to bring it back in, get comfy, because life's too short not to have good vibes. So, going on to my next point, this is going to be domain knowledge, or how much do you really have to know before entering the military? Well, to answer that question, not much. Because there's this thing called a security clearance that you need to have to work on government equipment, aka a vetting process that the Army runs your background, or not just Army, any branch of the military really. They just run your background and make sure that you have no suspicious record or anything against the United States to go work on equipment that's necessary to your job. So that's for anybody. So there's no magic study guide. But what I will have to say is that once you get into your military job or specialty, learn through experience. And yes, there's going to be tons of manuals and tons of everything. But through my tenure, I've learned that experience will be your greatest teacher. You know, just find that mentor while you're in the military. It's probably going to be a supervisor that's been doing things for far longer than you have. For me, it was my chief warrant officer and my other non-commissioned officers, and it could look different for any branch and any rank. But just get used to what's called drinking through a fire hose. Get used to learning your job while you're doing your job, but essentially just look for people that's done it better. Yes, go through the references and all that other good stuff, but I promise you, if you do that and you combine learning through experience, or OJT, on the job training, then everything that you need to know to manifest a really hard, good, smart worker and critical thinker will happen literally as you show up to work every day. So just show up to work and be opportunistic. And guys, last thing I'm going to cover, and I haven't seen this a lot in many how to prepare for the military videos, but it's just preparing to exit or having good exit strategy. And I'm not trying to be pessimistic, but everybody's going to have to leave the uniformed services at some point in time, whether it's unexpectedly 3, 5, 10, 20 years, or maybe you just don't want to sign a second contract or whatever it may be. But the United States military, we have a lot of free certification programs, learn new skills, attain small business loan funding, any of that. It's just that you have a chance to reinvent yourself. Maybe you've come to a really bad situation that's brought you to the military. It's okay. I've seen people become business owners. I became a full stack web developer. You name it. So one basic form of advice I would say is just start out by getting acquainted with your base education center and see what's out there so you can go broaden your horizons. There should be no reason you leave the military with less intellectual property than you came in with. There's just really no reason. The United States has a lot of funding for the military, and that goes into their educational and certification programs. And don't be afraid to reach out to people. So guys, with that being said, that's just a broad line on how to prepare for the military. And I hope this helped brought you some context, and it's really not as bad as you think it should be. Just keep going through your progressions. So guys, I'll see you on future videos, and yeah, let me know in the comments and any other advice that you've used to prepare for the military. See you later.